The prefixes argument is a pretty flexible option in that you can see that if I leave it blank, I get a consolidation of all companies, all prefixes. Even if some of those entities have periods that end in different months, so perhaps company 10, the current period ends May 31st, and company 22, the current period maybe is ending April 30th, and that's fine. It knows to roll back one period for 10 and 0 periods for company 22 if I'm asking for April. So it navigates that correctly. But the main point here is that blank is going to consolidate all of your companies. You can also pass in a single prefix. And when I say pass in, that can either be a literal, like hard-coded value you put in the actual formula, like double quote for blank, or it could just be a reference to a cell containing the prefix you want. When I say single prefix, that might just be a cell reference, like I did earlier, to a cell that contains the prefix that I want. It can also be a range of cells, and this is a pretty cool option in that I'm going to actually go back and show this here in just one second. In that if you have a set of prefixes that you want to consolidate, just designate a place on the worksheet to contain that list. And then when you go to supply the value for this argument, it would be something like A1 colon A10 for those 10 cells, the range of cells, and it'll read the value from every cell in that range, and any that are not blank would be considered a prefix that we're going to consolidate. And again, I'll come back to that here in just a second. You can also use a prefix mask that uses wildcards. So there are a couple things that I'll kind of jump out here for a second in the PowerPoint and show. One is everyone should become familiar with how to get to our knowledge base. So if you just go to the Event One software website and then just tack on KB or click the knowledge base link over on the right, that gets you into the knowledge base. And then you can search on any term. I think MAST actually gets us there. Maybe not. Should have looked this up earlier. A little more information on was after. So I apologize. I should have had that link identified earlier. But there is actually a knowledge base article once I'm able to find it that explains what the wildcards are. I'll just jump back to Excel here and we'll cover that. Base, it's pretty easy though. So if I put in a wildcard of like 2 and 1%, that just means any prefix that starts with 2. So in this case, I know I have prefixes 20, 21, and 22. So I'm going to get all 3 of those prefixes consolidated. Don't make this mistake though. I put this in earlier when I was kind of stepping through this. That's not the same because that's a number. That's 2% or 0.02, and in terms of how it's stored. So just keep in mind that for something like that, you probably want to make sure to format the cell as text so that whatever you type in there is not misconstrued as a number. And that way you get what you're thinking you're going to get. If we had more than one prefix being used, then you would just follow the same kind of logic. So if I was say wanting to pull in company 10 and any prefix B, it might look like that, or any prefix B starting with 1 at the beginning. You can also use underscores. So starting with 1, any character, and ending in 0. So underscore is a single character placeholder if you're not aware of that. So that's how the prefix mask can be used. It's just simply identifying a set of prefixes that we want to consolidate. To expand on that idea that I was mentioning earlier of, say, coming up with a range of cells where we have maybe 21, 22, 50. There's a list of prefixes that I might want to consolidate. So in my function, the first argument, I can simply make that a range of cells. Okay, and that does a consolidation of all the prefixes in that list. There's another option which may be something that's of use in some cases, and that is that there's a helper function you'll see in the function selector, and I'll just kind of go down here to the bottom and show an example of it. Bring up the function selector. There's this function called OCList, and the idea is that it does something similar. So I can say, select a range of cells, and what it returns is this formatted text value with all of the prefixes enclosed in single quotes and separated by commas. And that type of value is also acceptable as the first argument in this function for the list of prefixes. So I could just simply reference that, and that will work just as well. So you have a few options there in terms of how you can specify the set of prefixes. Beyond that, it's just limited by your creativity. So however you want to organize things and utilize that set of options to get whatever prefixes or set of prefixes you want.